Hello everyone, my name is Stef Sanjati and welcome to my home. I made a video a few years ago called My Face Waardenburg Syndrome, which basically feels like another lifetime if I'm being honest. And I've revisited it once before, 2 years ago, in a video called My Face Waardenburg Syndrome Part 3, or Part 2. That was the second one. My bad. This is the third one, but I'm approaching it from a slightly different angle because when I talk about Waardenburg Syndrome and I say Waardenburg Syndrome, people looking for Waardenburg Syndrome or for a greater understanding will look for those videos. But people that just come to my videos randomly and look at my face and ask questions like, why are your eyes so far apart? And what happened to your face? With their beautiful misguided questions that I will fully answer in this video. They're not gonna click on a video that says Waardenburg Syndrome. They're gonna click on a video that says, why are my eyes so far apart? And so that's why we're here. I have experienced something that you could call beauty bullying for a very long time, and that is bullying related to standards of beauty that are unattainable. It applies differently to every person because every person is a different person, okay? And I think we know what that means. That means that we each have different experiences and different bone structure. What I like to say to people typically is when they ask me why my eyes are so far apart, I ask them why their eyes are so close together, because that's just as weird to me as my eyes being far apart is to you. It's actually not weird at all. But the point is, why on earth is somebody's face looking different from yours? Weird. Do you expect everybody to look like you? I don't understand. There are a number of symptoms that are a part of Waardenburg Syndrome, and I'm gonna touch on all of them, but I'm gonna focus on my eyes mostly for this video because that has been the biggest source of pain in my past. In my present, they're a present. They're a gift. I love them. And they are, in my opinion, incredible. And I don't care if that sounds cocky. I don't care if that sounds kind of narcissistic because I have fought tooth and nail to feel that way about myself and I will not apologize for it. On a very relevant note, I'm actually part of Rimmel London's new I Will Not Be Deleted campaign, which is an incredible initiative dedicated to tackling issues like beauty bullying and the root causes of them, like racism, like ableism, like not understanding people have different facial structures, like not understanding people look different from each other, right? I feel like that's a pretty simple concept, but I guess it's not. Let's just explore this, okay? I'm gonna play a clip from one of the videos I did with Rimmel London as part of the I Will Not Be Deleted campaign that you can watch right now in this here video. It's gonna play right now, okay, you ready? Growing up, and I grew up in a very small town where everybody looked the same and they had the same background. And I didn't have that exact background because in my family, there is a genetic mutation called Waardenburg Syndrome. And what it does basically is it alters your facial features. And we just have wider set features and broader features. And I think it's gorgeous and I think it's stunning. But for a long time, I couldn't look in the mirror without hyperventilating because I was taught by my peers that it was inherently ugly. And it wasn't, and it never was. So that was really the first experience I had with bullying. And then as I grew up, I came to understand that I was transgender and that I had to transition for my mental health, otherwise I couldn't live. Like there was no option, there was no confusion, there was just, I understand this now, that I'm a woman and this is what I have to do. When it comes to people deleting images in a reaction to harassment, it's something that I've experienced. A couple of years ago, I did just that. I deleted an image because people made me feel bad about myself. And it's extremely unfortunate, I think a very big problem that so many people and so many images were removed out of embarrassment or out of a forced shame. And I think we need to do something about it. Being shameless and proud of who you are and what you look like is totally okay. And I think more of us need to have that look at me attitude because there's nothing wrong with that. And showing people that you love yourself is a great way to teach them to love themselves too. Like I said in that clip, I grew up in a community where everybody did look the same. I grew up in a community where everybody was a white Dutch Christian person that was also heterosexual and also cisgender. Like that was pretty much the standard in my town. There was not variation, and if there was, it was generally frowned upon, and you were seen as lesser in the community. And people from that community might say that's not true, but listen, it was, okay? It was. And growing up in that community, being ostracized was something I become very accustomed to. This was before I understood anything about my gender or my sexuality. And I guess that's not really the topic of this video, but for those of you that aren't familiar with me, I am transgender. I'm a transgender woman, which has nothing to do with Waardenburg Syndrome, but it's relevant because it's about these layers of otherness that I was made to feel about things that are just intrinsic about myself that I cannot change. I cannot change my facial structure. You can say as much as you want about my face. That's not gonna make it look like yours. And I'm not gonna try to make it look like yours because I like my face. It's mine. I don't want your face. I want my face. And I don't think you want somebody else's face either. What Waardenburg syndrome does in particular to my eyes, we'll start there and then we'll go down the list, is it creates this blue color that I have. It's actually a lack of color in my eyes and it just reflects blue because most of the light in the world is blue. Apparently, that's what I was told by somebody. I think it was a doctor. I don't remember. I was like 8 years old, okay? But in general, Waardenburg syndrome does affect pigment in that way. But again, focusing on the eyes, the color of them, the spacing of them. What you'll notice, and this is something that frustrated me a lot with art teachers growing up because I've always been a creative individual, and I remember being in art class in high school and I would draw a face and they would say, no, you've got the proportions wrong. Eyes have 1 finger distance in between them. And I was like, are you sure they do? Are you sure that eyes have that distance? Or are you just saying that most people's eyes have that distance? Or are you just saying that white European people's eyes have that distance between them, and because you're white European background, you should probably draw eyes that way, even though your eyes are not that way, and it's not important that you're not represented in art at all? Was that what they were saying? No, of course that's not what they were saying. But when you say things like that, when you say things like eyes have 1 distance of finger between them, that's not true. You can't say that because number one, everybody's face is different. Everybody's proportions are different. All you're doing is reinforcing a beauty standard on a drawing of all things. Why are you doing that? And even worse, why are we doing that to ourselves and to people? That is horrific. Anyway, back to the point. Waardenburg syndrome, eyes, distance, spacing, and the shape in particular is a bit different too. They're very almond and round instead of like I don't know how your eyes are. I don't know. These are my eyes. I don't know. How are your eyes? You know what I mean? But if you take a picture of my face and you overlap my eye with a standard European, Eurocentric white person eye, it's gonna have a slightly different shape. I'm okay with that. I love it. I love my eyes. A big part of why I have a platform on YouTube now and why I'm successful is because of the Waardenburg syndrome video. And I think when people watch that original video, they could feel all the pain that I was put through growing up. And even as an adult, still, I'm harassed daily because I look unlike other people. And I just think that's such a silly thing to attack somebody for. Of course I look different from you because I'm not you. And you don't look the same as me. Am I harassing you for that? No, absolutely not, because there's no point. I could harass you to look like me. It's not gonna make you look like me. It's not gonna make you want to look like me. Just quickly, I'm gonna cover everything else Waardenburg syndrome does. I mentioned earlier it affects pigment, so that's also why I have this natural white hair at the front. I have tinted it. It's not naturally pink, okay, but it's naturally white and not blonde, it's white. And it kind of irritates me when people say it's naturally blonde because white and blonde are not the same thing. Thank you. And actually, I'm gonna likely have a full head of white hair before I'm 30 years old, and I'm very excited about that, and I really want it, and I can't wait, and I'm hoping it happens. My mom had full white hair before she was 30, so fingers crossed, right? I also have some pigmentation patches on my body that are slightly different in color from most of my skin, but they're not very extreme. Another thing Waardenburg syndrome causes is hearing loss. I don't really like to call it hearing loss because I didn't lose it, I just was born without it. I am deaf in my left ear, so I hear nothing out of this side, and I actually have a tattoo on that side to show that. I don't know if you can see it. It's a mute sign that you would have on a computer or a phone or something, just to show if I have my hair up, for example, I'm hoping people will notice it and maybe infer that I can't hear out of that ear, and then they won't talk to me on that side because I will not know what the hell they're saying. And even that, like, I don't dislike that. I don't dislike my deafness. I don't really have any feelings about my deafness. It's an inherent part of who I am. I can't change it. And even if I could, I think there might be surgeries now that allow me to have hearing in that ear, like an implant or something. And believe me, I've read about these. I know the research. You don't have to tell me my options because I don't want them. I'm okay with my deafness. It's not a burden to me, it's not a problem. It's just another aspect of me. First of all, I would have to relearn like every sound ever. I would have to grow accustomed to things being on this side of me, which isn't comfortable. I don't want things on that side of me. I have lived 23 years without people talking to me on this side, and to suddenly just have people on this side of me all, that makes me anxious. I don't want that, and I don't need it. It's not like it needs to happen. And I think a very similar thinking should be applied to people that don't look like you. Whether that's race, whether that is a difference in facial structure, whether that is weight, it could be anything. But why are we so fixated on making people like us? Why can't we just embrace the differences between each of us and celebrate those and recognize those as beautiful? Human variation is beautiful. and we need to embrace it instead of trying to change it. I think that is one of our greatest triumphs as we've evolved and as we've become able to advance with things like medical science and science in general, is our ability to make life accessible to a greater variety of people. If I was born maybe 1,000 years ago, I would have been killed because I didn't look right. My mom would have been killed because she didn't look right. But we look good, we look fine, we're fine. And it frustrates me when people, for example, let me give you an example. Recently I became aware that an individual attacked my appearance in a video on the internet, and I was like, that's kind of unfortunate, because all that means is that person is unhappy with themselves, right? And in response, a lot of people were like, that's not nice, don't make fun of her, she has Waardenburg Syndrome, as if that makes it an excuse for me to not be attractive or something. And let me just explore this a little. Let me explain this. I am not your token ugly person. I'm not ugly. I'm beautiful, I'm gorgeous. Why are you wording things in a way that implies that it's not okay to make fun of me because I can't help being ugly, when the reality is I'm not ugly? And instead of saying don't make fun of her because she can't help being ugly, say don't make fun of her because she isn't ugly, because human variation is gorgeous and wonderful and everybody is different from each other. If we all looked the same, why would we want that? That's horrific. I am not interested, and I don't have time to be your token ugly person, because I'm not your token ugly person, because I'm not ugly, and neither is anybody else. If you feel ugly, it's because you've been trained and told that you're ugly. And I've been there. I used to not be able to look in the mirror. I'd look in the mirror and I would hyperventilate and have to run away from it, because I was taught so strongly by all of my peers that I was the most monstrous thing on the face of this earth. I believed that with every ounce of my being. And people to this day still try to get me to believe that. And it's not true. And it's not true for you either, I promise. And the first time you realize that, and the first time you embrace what people are attacking about you physically, and you say, this is a part of my life, whether it's changeable or not, this is part of my life right now. And I'm not going to hate myself because of it. The first time that happens, the weight lifted off of your shoulders will be unspeakable. And I so badly wish for that to happen for you. I could talk about my facial features all day, which I have done before. And I mean, I'm all about raising awareness for Waardenburg Syndrome, but I am not the only person that's receiving this kind of harassment, not by a long shot. I received the same kind of harassment for my face that people of color receive for not being white, that disabled people receive, and none of us deserve it. What did we do? We're just here, we're just existing. Let us be. We don't need to be like you to be okay. We're fine. And to harken back to the Rimmel London I Will Not Be Deleted campaign, you can harass me for my eyes as much as you want. They're not going away. You cannot delete them. You cannot delete me. You cannot delete a black woman's skin. You cannot delete a disabled person. You cannot delete a person's beautiful big body. You cannot do anything about it, and you shouldn't, because it's beautiful. Okay? And I understand that I've been talking to you, the viewer, as if you are a perpetrator of these things, and I don't think all of you are. Of course not. Of course not. It's just the way my rage is manifesting. But what I'm hoping is that if you are not a perpetrator of these kinds of things, you will hear me say this, and you will use this language the next time you encounter this kind of harassment online or in the physical world. Because let me just clarify, there's nothing not real about the online world. The second it became a part of us finding jobs, shelter, resources, love, it became the real world. There's nothing fake about it. Who you are online is who you are in the physical world. And it's time that we start to champion causes as much as we would in the physical world. It's time we defend people like we would in the physical world. It's time to stop letting people get away with this harassment for no reason, just because it's easier to scroll past a comment, because it's not as easy for us to scroll past a comment when we receive it. We read it, we internalize that, and it's not good. And you can try your best to unlearn internalizing negative comments. It's not as easy as it sounds. I encourage you to be a part of this movement, to stop harassing people if you are, and if you see it, to do something about it, to defend those people, to speak up for them, to say this is not okay. This person does not have to be like you to be a person. If you want to check out the rest of the I Will Not Be Deleted campaign videos, you can find links in the description box to a plethora of other incredible, beautiful people talking about their experiences with their differences. And it's great. Go look at it. Until next time, just remember, human variation is beautiful, and so are you. I will see you again soon. Bye!